All right. NXT. Now, we got about roughly 5 days left before NXT hitting Battleground. And this was not a bad show. It was not. I don't agree with everything here, which wasn't bad. I feel like you could have saved it for Battleground, or you could have built it a little more better. That's how I feel about it. But I will tell you this, it was not bad. But knowing, let me give it to you like this. If you have not checked the sites lately about what was talked about when it came to Shawn Michaels, Shawn is now beginning to state openly it is becoming difficult to book TNA and NXT together. What have I told you guys? I told you a while ago that this is not Shawn Michaels bookings. It don't seem right. The bookings are an issue. I could see that this isn't all Shawn Michaels' work. This is somebody else's. It's Triple H. It's obvious it's Triple H, but also TNA has to be now included in this. And when you look at how the booking is when it came to almost 9 months ago compared to here, and I'm not saying back then it was great, but you could clearly see how Shawn's work was. Then Triple H took over. Then we get TNA included on top of that, which I don't usually talk about because it's not necessary, because they're not adding them in heavily. They are adding them in when they need to, but you could tell how the booking's been. It's not bad. But then other parts of the company, which is NXT, suffers, and you could see it. So now, next to being justified what I said, you can see that this show, there's things that are just not right. But you can tell they're not 100% bad, but you could tell they're off. Now, let's make this very clear. I'm going to go through the matches quickly. What did I think about Shawn Legacy? Because I knew Shanti Adonis was not going to win. I did think that Devon Evans might win because now there's been some interaction between him and Ricky Saints. Now, of course, I didn't see last week's episode, which I'm sorry. Next to not feeling well because the weather's been bad, but also I did admit that there's still issues in my building at the time, which makes it very difficult to focus and concentrate. But I didn't see what happened with their interaction, but they have some interaction. So I thought maybe he might win. But Evolve, this is the thing. Currently, how many shows do we have right now with TKO WWE? You have Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Evolve, Speed, and now they just wrapped up LFG because they did show the winners there. I didn't really watch the show. There's just too many shows to watch with WWE at this point, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be doing heavy watching of absolutely everything because I'll burn myself out, and I'm not doing that for anybody. I love what I do. That's why I don't go too crazy digging into everything like other people do because I can burn myself out, and I'm not doing that. But seeing that a member of Evolve, Shawn Legacy, has been brought in. Now, he wrestled pretty well. And then what do we get? We get Devon Evans being protected because he didn't get pinned. It was Shanti Adonis, who I still say needs to leave the company. That boy, when his contract is up, he should not renew. He should leave because they're really not doing anything with him. What he had with Petrovic really didn't give him anything. And definitely, I don't even think Petrovic got anything out of that. But this is what we got. And yes, we did get later in the night because we did get Shawn Spears. Well, not Shawn Spears. I will talk about Shawn Spears in a minute. But when you look at... I'm thinking about when Shawn Spears is going to go after that championship again. But I'm also thinking about Ethan Page dealing with Ricky Saints. And now that they had to make it look so apparent that Ava was going to say, you're going to get your damn match. And I'm like, okay. Shawn Legacy is getting his shot at the title. He's going to get it because he won the match. Now next week we're going to have this, what was it, Battleground or next week? I think it's Battleground. No, it's next week. It's next week for if, and I know he will win, but if Ricky Saints beats Sean Legacy, because he's supposed to have his match. We're going to have this, but then it feels like this, it was pushed. Let's make it very clear. This was pushed. When you see Ava literally trying to justify that, you're not the one that tells me how to book, I will, but she just agreed with them. That means she went by what they're booked. I'm just like, this feels pushed, like it was really made to be done immediately, and I didn't like that. Like I said before, I am not happy that Ricky Saints got that damn title so early, and it still looks like they're pushing him too rapidly without any real good build for him. Moving on. Biggs versus Shawn Spears. Now, I'm thinking about what they're going to do with Shawn Spears due to the fact he won that match against Josh Briggs. Now, of course, what is this guy's name? Iramura has now gone back to Pro Wrestling Noah. He's not there, and you saw the interview before the match, and he says, brother, I miss you. I'm sorry, I miss you. I wish you were here, but I love you, and I'm going to dedicate this match to you. And he tried to win, but he couldn't. And unfortunately, since I didn't see last week that Hank and Tank spoke to him saying, we'll be in your corner, once Spears had help from Izzy Dane kicked Josh Briggs in the head. That was the main reason he won. Then once the beatdown happened, Hank and Tank came out to get him back up. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But where are they going to go with Josh Briggs? To be honest, I really think that at this point, Josh, who has been in the roster for more than a few years, needs to literally be moved off the roster and put onto the main roster. I'm not saying he's the best right now, but at this point, they need to do something with him, put him on the main roster, and see what happens. That's me. That's just me. When it comes to Jensen, he's got to stay with Culling because he really doesn't have any type of character. Next. Let me give it to you like this when it comes to Chase U and Connor and Dixon. I'm going to be honest. I don't really think about them. I think about Chase U. I think about Andre Trey. The reason I'm botching here is because I should care about Connor and Dix. But I don't. I don't care about them. Yes, they managed to get Chase U back on, but then I'll care more about Chase U with to be honest, when it comes to Andre Chase coming back to Chase U, I'm going like, maybe he shouldn't be doing Chase U. Someone else should be doing Chase U. He should hand it over to somebody else. Or they've got to bring in someone important to be in Chase U to make it mean something. But he's back in Chase U, which doesn't really mean much. Then you got Connor and Dix. They don't mean much. And then they went up against Out the Mud, who just recently came back, who I knew were not going to lose, not to these guys, who I didn't even feel like they were important, and they barely had any matches, so I knew they were going to lose. Yeah, they looked very good in the ring. They were very rough with the boys in Out the Mud, but in the end, I didn't expect them to win. And I'm like, yeah, you saw them cheat. Connor and Dix. So that means there's going to be something with Chase U in that respect. But honestly, I'm not feeling them. They got to do something. Moving on. Lola Vice versus Fallon Henley due to the fact of what happened in the back. Now, you guys tell me below. At first, I thought that Lola Vice got a boob job almost because her boobs looked this big. And then I remembered, oh wait, push-up bras. Girl's very small-chested. And I'm not taking anything from her. She's beautiful, but here's the problem with a small-chested woman who's wearing a push-up bra. You can see the tan lines of her bra that she was wearing when she got the tan lines. And you can see them up here, and you think, okay, maybe her boobs are bigger. No, they're not. And she's all tan except for the tan lines where she should have taken off a top to get fully tanned. That'd make her look a little more uniformed. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not saying she's ugly. No, woman's beautiful. She is. But that tan line made you think, oh, her boobs are bigger, but she's wearing a push-up bra. And when she put on her regular clothes, when she wrestles, those suckers are tiny. But then you see Fallon Henley having controversy when it comes to JC James. This is a long time coming. Right now, I don't believe Nyx is with them anymore. She's gone. I don't know. I think, she's one of those who was released by WWE, I believe. And honestly, it's a long time coming, but the question's going to be, what is going to happen between the two? Because yes, we saw at the end, Fallon was trying to be helped by JC, and then they bump into each other, and then the pin, and then the accusations pointing fingers at each other. Yes, it happened. And it's coming. But do I feel anything? No. Here's the problem with them. They've been together for way too long. And the problem is, yes, they should have had one of them should have had a feud with Nyx. Jasmine Nyx, they should have had a feud with one of them to break her off. And then they could have had a feud with each other due to the fact that saying, why did this girl turn on us when Fatal Influence is doing so well? But there's nothing there. She got released, and now they have to do it there, and that's the major problem. They needed a catalyst to break up. This is not the catalyst. This is due to the fact they just don't have the person that would have done the breakup. That's me. Okay, Zarya versus Kiani Jordan. If Kiani wins, she gets a title shot. Let me give it to you like this. I care about this one more than any of the women's matches other than Jordan Grace and a Stephanie Vakir. And I'll get to them in a minute with the VIP packs. But I want to make it very clear. The reason I care is due to the fact that Soruka and Zarya have had months to build friendships together. That's the reason I care. That's the reason that I don't care about Stephanie Vakir and don't care about Julia, who's now on the main roster. You see, between the three women, Stephanie Vakir, Julia, and Zarya, the only one that feels legitimate is Zarya because she's had real character development. You threw Julia on to where? SmackDown. She's not on Raw. That's where a Roxanne Perez is right now. She's earned it. Let's make it very clear. Roxanne has finally earned what she's got. She's on Raw. She's earned it. And I'm proud of her. And I know Booker T's like, as a dad, he's like, yeah, this is one of mine. This is one of mine from reality wrestling. It's one of mine. And I know that makes him happy. And he's earned that. He trained her. And I feel more from just Roxanne Perez because she's not one of the best talkers. She's a great wrestler, but she's not one of the best talkers. But she feels more legitimate than Stephanie Vakir or Julia. The only one that feels legitimate next to her is Zarya because Zarya's had build. And seeing this, I want to know how far Zarya is going to go to protect Soruka before she decides, I love Soul, but I want that damn title. Because when it was over and Zarya basically speared her by accident, trying to get to her because Soul got on the ring skirt due to the fact that Kiani Jordan pissed her off by basically bumping her into Zarya's chest. You see after it was over, you see Zarya kissing her on the head and holding her. That's not the look of someone who wants to just get your title. That's someone who wants to protect you and keep that title on you. Almost to the point of obsession. And that's the story I want to see. How far is the crazy bitch Zarya going to go to protect Soul, where Soul's going to eventually say, stop, you're going too far. And then they go to odds. And that is when Zarya's going to say, okay, you don't want me? Fine. I'm coming for that damn title. That's what I want to see. Now, let's get to the let's make it 4. 4 backstage segments. Well, actually, it's 2 backstage segments and 2 vid packs. Let me give it to you like this. when it came to seeing Tatum Paxley acting crazy because Gigi Golan is not there anymore, I'm like, okay, they need to do something with her. Then I see Thea Hale with her eye covered partially. And since I didn't see what happened last week, I don't know what happened. Then we see Miss Parker, basically nail her, Thea, with a pipe. So I don't know what happened. But it looks like she says she almost feels sorry for Tatum, where Tatum's like, I lose everybody. Everyone just leaves me when I want to get somewhere. And pretty much, Miss Parker said, I don't give a damn. But now you see that because she gave her even a small taste of feeling, now you think Tatum's going to go after her and try and make her a friend or just become obsessed. And I'm like, okay, is that going to be good? I don't know. The next one, in the back. What did I feel? I don't know. I think I'm going to skip it. Let me give it to you like this. Let's talk about the vid packs and the ring segment with Bourne and Overfemi. Because there was one other one and I can't remember what it was. There was another segment in the back and I'm blanking on it for some reason. I don't know why I'm blanking. Oh no, I'm not blanking because I already talked about it when it came to Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. There you go. Let's go to the vid pack with both the lovely ladies of NXT. Who did the best vid pack? Jordan Grace. She's more polished than Stephanie Vakir. Stephanie didn't have this type of polish because she doesn't talk a lot of English. Now, doesn't mean she can't talk English, but now she's doing more English than she probably did when she was working in Japan or Mexico for that matter. So this is going to be a little more work with her. Now, did she talk well? Yes, she did. She tried to make it very clear that, yes, Jordan Grace and her do have similar rises, but she has probably sacrificed way more than Jordan Grace. That's what she was saying, and she's going to stop Jordan. But let's make this clear. Who sounded the best between the two? It was Jordan Grace. Jordan talked way better than Stephanie. Now, it's mostly due to the fact that Stephanie is not talking English all the time. Not saying she can't talk English, but we are talking about a promo segment that she probably doesn't do in English often. She probably does in the Spanish more than anything. So, it's a little more work for her. But it's obvious that when you look at Jordan Grace, she is very polished. Being with WWE, she's going to improve even more. But let's make it very clear. The segment she did in Impact Wrestling TNA has prepared her pretty well. So she was probably here compared to... Let's make it very clear. If this was old WWE with you know who will not be named, her speaking would be considered, they need her here. And she would, because she was in TNA, would be in here. With the new situation of TKO WWE... I keep thinking about Silver Lake, Endeavor, TKO Group Holdings, and WWE. I keep thinking about the 4 layers of its ownership every single time when I have to think about WWE. I got to think of the 4 layers it's actually being owned. Well, counting itself 4 layers, but you get my point. And now with the new era, they probably see her here. About good. And they're going to want her to be here. So she would be roughly about here compared to who would not be named here. So you can tell the difference. And I felt more from Jordan Grace. Not just because I'm familiar with her. It's because she just felt more polished. I do believe Stephanie, once she speaks more English due to the fact I believe she is living in the United States now. She's going to be learning how to be able to speak way more English. And she'll work on her promos where it'll feel more fluid because she has to stop. It's obvious she'll speak. And at certain points, not all the time, but at certain points she stops like she's got to think about it for a minute and then translate that into English. That's just how it feels. So it was okay. I really I got to talk about this. Dark State. Do I care about Dark State? No. Now, seeing that one of the guys, I believe one of them is Cutler, I do believe that he is from LFG. And he's been given that spot there, which is good. But do I care about Dark State? No. And guess what? I would have cared a lot more if I'd seen this promo months ago. We didn't get that. They tried to do Nexus and the Shield. This is where they went wrong. They should have did the promo they did here months ago. And I would have believed it more there. Seeing Dark State explaining who they are. Now, after so many months, you finally tell us who you really, really are. Yes, you've spoken about what you can do, but finally knowing who you guys are, other than what happened with Tony D and the family talking about you, this is bad. Don't care. Not that I don't care about the guys there, they could get over, but the entire group itself do not give two damn flips because they didn't do this weeks ago. Now, Tony D'Angelo and his video, VidPack. Now, I don't know what happened last week. They did show a little snippet of him getting beat up by Stacks. So that was the part I missed. I am very interested in this. This is the most important thing to me personally. I wish we had had more time with it. I wish we had seen more from Tony D, but since I didn't see it last week, there might have been more I didn't see other than that short, very few second snippet. But I am still invested in Tony D'Angelo and Stacks and how they're going to do this feud. This is what I cared about. I knew they were going to eventually do something with Stacks. I knew they're going to break them up eventually. And this is what I felt needed to be done. And I care more about this than anything else. I felt that this was the best segment. Seeing Tony do go like this, and he's trying to understand why Stacks is the way he is. And then he explains it, I felt was very well done. Final two things we're going to talk about with Femi, with Miles Bourne, and the music. And, well, you know what I mean. I'm going to talk about the bitch in a minute. But let's make this very clear. Did I care about not Evan Bourne. I don't know why I keep thinking Evan Bourne with Miles Bourne. Maybe it's because of the supremacy. Anyway, let me give it to you like this. Did I believe Uba Femi when he spoke? Hell yes, I did. Because he proved it every single time. Anyone who's either smaller than him, bigger than him, the same size as him, he has to struggle. He beats them. But when it came to Evan, I'm about to say Evan again. I don't know why I keep saying Evan instead of Miles. Let me give it to you like this with Miles. I care about him. I do. Now knowing that he's deaf, because I never checked to see that he was deaf. I just see him as a wrestler. That's what I want to make this clear to everyone. Understand. I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you come from. I don't give two flips if you can hear or not. Look at Crazy Steve. He is deaf. And he still wrestled. And I never knew because I never cared to check. Because as long as he knows how to do his business, that's all I care about. As long as you book him correctly, give him a character, and show that he has ability, that you care about him, that's what I care about. So when it came to Miles Bourne, I didn't care. But now that they made it so apparent that this is about him being deaf, I always thought he had a lisp. I'm telling the truth, I always thought he had a lisp. For me personally, knowing that he's deaf, and they're really focusing on him being deaf, is a major issue for me. Because sooner or later, they're going to have to move away from that. Look, guys, whether you like it or not, when someone has a disability or they're different, you could lean into it to a certain extent. But sooner or later, they must move away from it and actually book this person. Look, I got 4 examples. Counting Counting Miles Bourne. First one, Tessa Blanchard. This woman was pushed heavily as a woman instead of just an underdog like a Bryan Danielson, like a CM Punk, or anyone else that is in her type of position, that she's not as big as everybody else. They didn't believe in her, but they just saw her as somebody. They didn't do that. They could have gone the China route when she was in WWE, being a dominant bitch that goes through everybody on the damn roster. They didn't do that. They just pushed her as a woman. Second one, Nyla Rose. I don't talk about her much. Being one of the few women, I know you're going to say, no, she's not a woman. Doesn't matter. She's in the women's division. You see her as a woman. They book her as a woman. She wrestles other women. There you go. They booked her that way. They showed her who she was. They presented her as a woman, but they also never hid the fact that she is transgender. But they never leaned into the transgender bit. The only person that was being leaned into in that respect was Sonny Kitts, who now got a pair of tits on him now. Don't know if he got the equipment removed yet, but he's got a pair of tits now. But when it came to Nyla Rose, they never went there. See next. Of course, Miles Bourne. Well, actually, I should say Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve's another one. They never leaned into it until the ending of last year when it came to Tommy Dreamer and he was trying to pluck people's eyes out with a knife, cutting them up. They leaned into that, but only for a little bit. They made him nuts, and that was fine. Great. They didn't lean 100% into it. They leaned to it to a certain extent, and then they went and just did the crazy. Then there's Miles Bourne, who now is in this point where they're now leaning into his deafness. Now, he's not completely deaf. He's hard of hearing, but the point is, they're leaning into it. But sooner or later, they're going to have to move away from that. He cannot be focused on as just someone who has a hearing impediment. Look at me. I'm disabled. I got a messed up hip. I got a messed up back. And honestly, even with depression and anxiety on top of it, I don't try and lean into it while I do my reviews. I may tell you what's been going on, but I don't say you should listen to me, watch me, because I got a bad hip, I got a bad back, and I'm depressed. Watch me. I want you to watch me because of that. No, I don't lean into it. I may talk about it, but I make sure you understand. And that's what the situation's going to be with Miles Bourne. At least I got his name right instead of Evans. Miles Bourne must eventually move away from that. If they don't, they're going to have one major problem. Finally, the last few minutes before this video's done. Ubafemi. No, not Ubafemi. I think maybe I care more about Ubafemi than I do about Trick. I think I'm going to go over 30 minutes, damn it. All right. Trick Williams and the Trick's Melo's bitch. Let's make this clear. That was good. Trick is Melo's bitch. And did I like the rap he did? Since I don't know if there was a music video from last week, so I don't know. I don't know if there's a music video. They kind of showed it before he came out, so that could have been from last week that I missed. Did I like it? It wasn't bad. Doing it live-ish in front of a studio audience, it can be hard to try and stay focused on your lyrics, trying to keep your rhymes going, trying to make it clean and smooth. Was he? It wasn't bad. I'm not a big rap person. Doesn't mean I don't like rap from time to time. I felt he did all right. But did I care about the rap? No. But when it came to Joe Henry, I did care because I know that Joe Henry's going to give us a little bit more than just a rap or a song. He's going to give us something extra. He's going to show some footage, which he did, of Halloween Havoc at least a year and a half to 2 years ago. And it was around the time, honestly, this is the Halloween Havoc where I realized, strangely enough, that Halloween Havoc was when I realized Trick Williams had to break away from Melo and had to be something more. Weirdly enough, that is the very moment I realized Trick needed to break away and begin his own rise where he is right now. Now, did I care about seeing Joe Henry being face-to-face with Trick and Trick being called Melo's bitch. Yeah, I actually did because it kind of fit. Now, did I think it was going to be great? No, but it doesn't mean I hated it. And when it comes down to it right now as it stands, I am very interested in seeing how far they're going to go with this story with Trick Williams and Joe Henry. Of course, we're going to have this in a few days, so we're going to know what the ending is going to be. But it's going to be after that, let's say on next Tuesday. What are they going to do with Trick Williams? How far are they going to put Trick Williams? Or is Trick just going to have this one moment at Battleground and they'll actually transition him over to the main roster? Because they've been doing soft, what is it? They're not really doing a draft. They're doing more of their silently moving people over. Like when it came to Julia, when it came to Roxanne Perez, they may actually move people over to the main roster quietly and then do a signing like that instead of having a full-blown draft. That's the way it looks. But I'll say this wasn't bad. But it's just me. Peace.